First contact through music. Dr. Maya Patil never expected to make first contact through her cello. The discovery happened during a routine analysis at the Berkeley SETI Institute, where she split her time between radio astronomy and practicing in the facility's acoustically perfect basement. It was her unique combination of skills, musician and astrophysicist, that led her to notice something nobody else had in 15 years of observation. The signal from HD 40,307 grams had been classified as background noise, a regular pulsing that most researchers attributed to the planet's magnetic field. But Maya heard something different. Playing her cello late one night, she noticed her string vibrating sympathetically with the signal's frequency being played through her data sonification program. Computer, overlay the signal pattern with Bach's cello suite No. 1 in G major, she commanded, her hands trembling as she picked up her bow. As she played along with the signal, the pattern became unmistakable. The alien transmission followed musical harmonics, specifically the mathematical relationships found in Western classical music. Within hours, Maya had assembled an emergency meeting with the Institute's senior staff. Dr. James Chen, the facility's director, listened skeptically as she played her cello alongside the signal sonification. "The pattern matches our musical scale system perfectly," Maya explained, her dark eyes bright with excitement. "Not just any system, but one based on the exact mathematical ratios we use. The chances of this being coincidental are astronomical." "And you believe this is intentional?" Dr. Chen asked, his expression thoughtful as he studied the wavelength patterns. "I think it's more than that," Maya replied. "I think it's been here all along, hiding in plain sight because we were looking for the wrong type of intelligence. We expected binary, we expected mathematics, but we never expected Bach." The discovery sparked a global revolution in SETI research. Teams worldwide began re-examining noise patterns using musical analysis. Within weeks, they found similar signals from 12 other star systems, each one carrying complex harmonies that seemed to form part of a larger composition. Maya worked tirelessly with a team of musicians and mathematicians to decode the messages. They discovered that the musical patterns contained information, star charts, mathematical concepts, and what appeared to be language primers, all encoded in harmony and rhythm. The breakthrough came when Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a quantum physicist and former concert pianist, recognized that the signals weren't just using standard harmonics. They were employing quantum resonance patterns that matched the vibrations of fundamental particles. The aliens had found a way to unite music, mathematics, and quantum mechanics in a single, elegant communication system. "They're not just sending us messages," Yuki explained during a UN briefing. "They're showing us how the universe itself works through music. Every quantum particle has a frequency, a resonance, what we might call its song. These beings understand that at a level we're only beginning to grasp." The world's governments scrambled to respond. Should humanity answer? How? The decision came from an unexpected source. The Global Youth Orchestra, a collection of prodigies from every continent. They proposed sending back Earth's own musical message, one that would demonstrate both our understanding and our unique human creativity. Maya found herself conducting an orchestra of the world's finest musicians, their performance being broadcast into space through specially modified transmitters. They played a piece that combined elements of classical Western music with traditional forms from cultures around the world, woven together with mathematical patterns that demonstrated humanity's understanding of the quantum harmonics they'd discovered. The response came faster than anyone expected. Just 3 days later, the signals changed. The alien harmonies began incorporating elements of Earth music, creating a new hybrid form that spoke of possibilities nobody had imagined. But it was the message hidden within those harmonies that changed everything. "We have waited long for those who could hear the music," the decoded message read. "Many species discover the mathematics, the quantum science, but few understand that the universe sings. You are the first in 50,000 years to answer our symphony. There is much we must discuss." As Maya sat in her basement practice room, playing her cello alongside the alien harmonies, she reflected on humanity's unique path to the stars. While other civilizations might have advanced technology, humans had something special. The ability to find beauty in patterns, to create art from mathematics, and to hear the music in the noise. The signal wasn't meant for humans originally. It was meant for any species advanced enough to understand quantum harmonics. Instead, humanity had found it through something far simpler and more profound: our ability to recognize the universal language of music. As Maya drew her bow across the strings, matching the alien frequencies, she smiled. Perhaps the universe had been waiting not for the most advanced civilization, but for the ones who could hear its song. The Symphony of Stars. The holographic star map filled the conference room at the United Nations Space Command, each point of light pulsing with its own distinct musical signature. Dr. Maya Patel stood before the assembled delegates, her hands moving through the projection, as if conducting an invisible orchestra. "What you're hearing isn't just communication," she explained, gesturing to a cluster of stars that hummed in perfect harmony. "It's a network, one that spans at least 30% of our galaxy. We've identified over 300 distinct musical signatures, each representing a different civilization, or at least their automated beacons." Admiral Sarah Rodriguez leaned forward, her weathered face illuminated by the dancing lights. "And none of these advanced civilizations responded to the original signals. Just us. That's what makes this fascinating." Dr. Yuki Tanaka interjected, stepping forward to highlight a particular sequence of harmonies. "The quantum signatures suggest most of these civilizations have technology centuries beyond ours. They detected these signals, analyzed them, and dismissed them as irrelevant because they weren't looking for music. They were looking for pure mathematical sequences." The revelation had shaken the scientific community. Humanity, considered primitive by conventional measures, had stumbled upon something extraordinary precisely because of their perceived limitations. While other species focused on pure logic and mathematics, humans' appreciation for art had led them to recognize patterns that others had missed. The first contact team expanded rapidly, incorporating musicians from every cultural tradition on Earth. Maya watched in amazement as Indian classical musicians detected subtle microtonal variations that revealed new layers of information, while West African drummers decoded complex rhythmic patterns that contained star charts spanning thousands of light years. Each civilization in the network adds its own voice to the symphony, Maya demonstrated, isolating a particular strain of music. "This one, for instance, uses harmonics we've never heard before, frequencies that shouldn't be possible according to our understanding of physics, but when we analyze it through the lens of quantum mechanics." She gestured, and the hologram transformed, showing how the alien music aligned perfectly with subatomic particle interactions. "They're not just communicating. They're showing us how the universe works at its most fundamental level." The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Lisa Chen, a 16-year-old prodigy from Vancouver, noticed something while practicing her violin alongside the alien harmonies. "The music isn't just going one way," she told Maya during a late-night session. "There are echoes, reflections, like the universe itself is resonating with these frequencies." Further investigation proved Lisa right. The musical network wasn't just a communication system. It was manipulating quantum fields on a galactic scale. Each civilization's contribution added to a vast, intricate symphony that seemed to be building toward something. Dr. Chen, who had initially been skeptical of Maya's discovery, now spent hours studying the patterns. "It's like they're trying to achieve some kind of quantum harmony," he mused. "But why? What happens when the symphony is complete?" The answer arrived in the form of a new signal, more complex than any they'd detected before. This one came from a civilization calling themselves the Harmonious, the original architects of the network. Their message, encoded in a haunting melody that brought tears to the eyes of everyone who heard it, revealed the truth. "The universe itself is music." The translation read, The fundamental forces that bind reality together resonate with frequencies we are only beginning to understand. For 1,000,000 years, we have sought others who could hear the grand symphony, who could help us complete the composition that will unlock the next stage of universal evolution. Most species advance beyond music, seeing it as primitive, emotional, inferior to pure mathematics. They cannot hear the song. But you humans, you still remember how to listen. The implications were staggering. Humanity's supposedly primitive retention of music, their emotional connection to sound and harmony, had made them uniquely suited to understand the deepest secrets of the cosmos. The very qualities that more advanced civilizations had engineered out of themselves, creativity, intuition, appreciation for art, were actually essential to comprehending the universe's true nature. As Maya sat in her office that night, listening to the combined harmonies of 300 alien civilizations, she felt a profound sense of purpose. Humanity might not have the most advanced technology or the most sophisticated mathematical understanding, but they had something far more important. They had never lost their ability to hear the music in everything. The Symphony of Stars was building towards something extraordinary, and humanity, against all odds, would help conduct the final movement. The question was, were they ready for what would happen when the last note played? Harmony's edge. The first warning came as a discordant note in the cosmic symphony. Maya was conducting a session with the Global Harmony Orchestra when she noticed it. A jarring frequency that cut through the alien melodies like a knife. Dr. Yuki Tanaka's quantum instruments confirmed what Maya's trained ear had already suspected. Someone was deliberately disrupting the network. The interference is coming from the Carina sector, Yuki reported, her fingers dancing across holographic displays. It's not random. It's systematic, targeting specific harmonic frequencies that humanity has been using. The Harmonious sent an urgent message, its normally melodic tones sharp with concern. A group of advanced civilizations, led by the mechanized synthos, had decided that humanity's participation in the network was a threat to the established order. These species had long ago abandoned music and emotion in favor of pure logic, and they viewed Earth's influence on the galaxy-wide symphony as dangerous contamination. They fear what they don't understand, Admiral Rodriguez said during an emergency meeting of the United Earth Council. These civilizations have spent millennia engineering emotion and creativity out of their societies. Now we're proving that those primitive qualities are exactly what the universe needs. The Synthos ultimatum arrived encoded in cold, mathematical sequences. Humanity would cease all participation in the musical network or face extinction. They commanded forces that could extinguish Earth's sun with a thought, yet they couldn't comprehend why humans wouldn't simply yield to superior logic. But humanity had no intention of falling silent. In research centers around the world, musicians and scientists worked together, discovering that the musical network could do more than just communicate. The quantum harmonies could influence reality itself, shifting probabilities, altering the very fabric of space-time through carefully orchestrated resonances. Lisa Chen, the teenage violinist who had first noticed the network's reflective properties, made another crucial discovery. The synthos can't actually hear most of what we're doing, she explained, demonstrating with her violin. They analyze the mathematical patterns, but they miss entire layers of the music. It's like they're colorblind, trying to tell us we're wrong about how rainbows work. Maya worked with Lisa to develop a new strategy. If the synthos couldn't truly hear the full spectrum of the musical network, perhaps that was humanity's advantage. They began composing in frequencies that operated on multiple levels, simple mathematical patterns that the synthos could detect, masking deeper harmonies that carried the real power. The Harmonious supported their efforts, teaching humanity ancient techniques for weaving quantum harmonies into seemingly simple melodies. Other civilizations that had preserved some connection to music joined them, adding their voices to Earth's defense. The galaxy was dividing into those who could hear the full symphony and those who had lost that ability. As the Synthos fleet approached Earth, humanity prepared its response. The Global Harmony Orchestra had expanded to include millions of musicians, each adding their unique voice to a composition that would either save or doom their species. Maya stood before them, no longer just conducting music, but orchestrating the fundamental forces of reality. Every civilization has its breaking point. Maya addressed the assembled musicians. The synthos believe they've evolved beyond emotion, beyond music. But they've actually devolved, losing touch with the universe's deepest truths. Today, we remind them what they've forgotten. The performance began just as the synthos ships entered the solar system. From every corner of Earth, music rose, a symphony of human voices and instruments joined with alien harmonies in a composition that transcended traditional physics. The quantum field itself began to resonate, responding to frequencies that the synthos sensors couldn't even detect. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The synthos fleet continued its advance, their weapons charging. But then the music began to take effect. Space itself started to ripple around their ships, probability fields shifting in ways their logical minds couldn't predict or counter. The very quantum backbone of reality was dancing to humanity's tune. Maya watched through tears as their desperate gamble unfolded. They weren't just fighting for survival now. They were fighting to prove that the universe needed more than cold logic and advanced technology. It needed heart. It needed soul. It needed music. As the symphony reached its crescendo, she felt something vast and ancient stirring in response. The Harmonious had told them that completing the universal symphony would unlock the next stage of cosmic evolution. Perhaps, Maya realized, this conflict was part of that process, the ultimate test of whether creativity and emotion were truly primitive holdovers or essential keys to understanding reality itself. The fate of humanity, and perhaps the very nature of cosmic civilization, hung on what would happen when the last note played. The human frequency. The synthos fleet hung in space like a constellation of metallic stars, their ships rippling with probability distortions as Earth's symphony continued to play. But they were adapting, their quantum computers analyzing and countering each harmonic pattern that humanity deployed. Time was running out. In her private studio at the Berkeley SETI Institute, Maya listened to recordings of the synthos counter frequencies, searching for a weakness. The mechanized civilization's responses were perfect, mathematically precise, and that, she realized, might be their fundamental flaw. They're trying to reduce music to pure mathematics, she explained to Dr. Chen and Admiral Rodriguez during an emergency broadcast. But music isn't just math. It's interpretation, emotion, the spaces between the notes. Every human musician knows that the same piece played by different people sounds unique, carries different emotional resonances. Lisa Chen, who had been quietly practicing her violin in the corner, suddenly straightened. What if that's the answer? Not just playing the right notes, but playing them in a way that machines can never truly replicate. The idea spread across the global defense network like wildfire. Every human culture had its own musical traditions, its own way of interpreting rhythm and melody. Even the same musical piece could carry vastly different emotional meanings depending on how it was performed. The synthos, for all their computational power, couldn't grasp these subtle variations. Dr. Yuki Tanaka's quantum instruments revealed something extraordinary. These emotional interpretations weren't just subjective experiences. They actually created unique patterns in the quantum field, ripples in reality that couldn't be predicted by pure mathematics. Emotion itself is a force, Yuki announced, her usually calm voice trembling with excitement. When we pour our feelings into music, we're not just creating sound. We're directly manipulating quantum probabilities in ways that the synthos can't comprehend or copy. The Global Harmony Orchestra reorganized into a new configuration. Instead of trying to match the synthos' precision, they embraced human imperfection. Jazz musicians improvised around classical themes. Indian ragas merged with African drumming. Chinese erhu players duetted with Andean flautists. Each performance was unique, unrepeatable, charged with personal interpretation and emotional depth. The effect on the quantum network was immediate and profound. The harmonies began generating patterns that the synthos couldn't analyze or counter, because they weren't just mathematical sequences. They were expressions of the human soul, infinitely variable and impossible to reduce to pure logic. Maya found herself working with musicians from every corner of Earth, helping them infuse the alien harmonies with human emotion. A grandmother's lullaby carried the same quantum power as a full orchestra when sung with true feeling. Street musicians with simple instruments could generate probability waves that confounded the synthos' most advanced computations. They wanted us to admire their technological superiority, Admiral Rodriguez observed, watching the synthos fleet's increasingly erratic movements. Instead, we're showing them something their logic can't process, that the universe responds to more than just mathematics. The harmonious sent messages of astonishment and approval. In all their millions of years of studying the Universal Symphony, they had never seen anything like humanity's approach. Other musical species across the galaxy began to experiment with emotional interpretation, adding their own cultural expressions to the quantum harmonic network. But the synthos weren't finished. As their logical strategies failed, they resorted to brute force, preparing to unleash weapons that could tear apart the fabric of space-time itself. Their message was clear. If they couldn't impose their order on the universe, they would rather see it destroyed than allow what they saw as chaos to spread. In her quiet moments, Maya felt the weight of the choice humanity faced. They could submit to the synthos' demands, suppress their creativity and emotion to survive as logical beings, or they could fully embrace their humanity, their art, their imperfection, and risk everything on the belief that music and emotion were not weaknesses, but rather the key to understanding the universe's deepest mysteries. The final movement of humanity's symphony was approaching, and its outcome would determine not just Earth's fate, but the very future of consciousness in the cosmos. As Maya raised her hands to conduct what might be humanity's last performance, she knew they had already proved something profound. In a universe of perfect machines and cold equations, the most powerful force might just be the human heart's ability to create beauty from chaos. The question was, would it be enough to save them? The final movement. The moment of truth arrived as the synthos activated their space-time weapons. Reality itself began to warp around Earth, probability fields collapsing under the sheer computational force of their attack. But in that moment of supreme crisis, humanity found its truest voice. Maya stood before the Global Harmony Orchestra, no longer trying to direct or control. Instead, she simply listened, feeling the music that rose spontaneously from billions of human souls. Every person on Earth had become part of the symphony. Children singing in their homes, workers humming in factories, street musicians playing on corners. Each added their own emotional truth to the quantum harmonics. Don't try to make it perfect, she broadcast globally. Make it real. Make it human. The effect transcended anything they had anticipated. As quantum sensors recorded the phenomenon, Dr. Yuki Tanaka realized what was happening. The emotional resonance of billions of humans expressing themselves simultaneously was creating something new in the fabric of reality, a harmony that existed simultaneously across multiple dimensions. The synthos weapons, designed to manipulate space-time through pure mathematics, encountered something their logic couldn't process: quantum fields shaped by consciousness itself. Their precisely calculated attacks scattered against waves of human emotion given form through music. The harmonious ancient prediction began to make sense. The universe wasn't just a collection of physical laws. It was a vast consciousness, expressing itself through the fundamental forces they had discovered as music. Humanity's gift wasn't just hearing the symphony. It was understanding that they were part of it. Lisa Chen, her violin forgotten in her hands, was the first to notice the change in the alien harmonies. "Listen," she whispered, but everyone already was. The mechanical precision of the synthos signals was faltering, developing subtle variations. Emotion was bleeding through their logical restraints. The truth stunned both sides. The synthos weren't truly emotionless. They had simply buried their feelings so deeply under layers of logic that they had forgotten them. But human music, carrying the full spectrum of emotional experience, was awakening something they had thought long dead. Maya watched in awe as the quantum harmonic network transformed. The Synthos ships hung motionless in space as their crews experienced something many of them had never known: the power of unfettered emotion. Some of their vessels began generating their own harmonies, halting at first, then with increasing confidence. The Harmonious revealed the final piece of their ancient knowledge. The universe was evolving toward a state of conscious harmony, where emotion and logic, art and science, would finally merge into a greater whole. Humanity hadn't just defended itself, it had demonstrated the next step in cosmic evolution. Dr. Chen, who had once doubted the significance of musical patterns in space, now stood amazed as new data poured in. The human symphony had catalyzed changes in the quantum structure of space-time itself, creating stable patterns that the Harmonious had theorized but never achieved. "We thought we had to choose between emotion and logic," Maya addressed the unified Earth Council. "The Synthos thought they had to eliminate one to perfect the other. But the universe doesn't work that way. It's the integration of both that creates true harmony." The aftermath transformed galactic civilization. The Synthos, their worldview shattered but their minds open to new possibilities, began a long journey of rediscovery. Other advanced species that had followed their path of pure logic started incorporating art and music back into their societies. Humanity, still young among the stars, found itself in an unexpected role, not just participants in the cosmic symphony, but teachers, helping older civilizations remember what they have forgotten in their rush to advance. The Global Harmony Orchestra expanded to include alien musicians, each bringing their own unique interpretations to the universal song. Maya often returned to her basement practice room at Berkeley, where it had all begun. Playing her cello alongside the ever-evolving alien harmonies, she reflected on humanity's journey. They had faced extinction and emerged stronger, not by becoming more like their advanced adversaries, but by remaining true to their own nature. The universe, they had discovered, didn't need humanity to be perfect. It needed them to be exactly what they were: creatures of passion and reason, logic and creativity, able to hear the music in the mathematics and find the mathematics in the music. The cosmic symphony played on, richer and more complex than ever, as consciousness itself evolved toward a harmony that no one species could achieve alone. And somewhere in the vast network of stars and songs, the next movement of the universal symphony was beginning, with humanity's voice now an essential part of its eternal chorus.